Hey, it's Chris. It's 2017, I'm fully immersed in the Apple ecosystem, and it's time for an overall Apple review. So I'm gonna try to keep things brief and to the point, but here are the products that I'm actually gonna be talking about today. The iPhone 7 Plus, the MacBook Pro, the iPad Pro, the Apple Watch, AirPods, and the Apple TV. It's funny, actually, while I was putting this video together, I realized that I use all of these products without exception every single day. So I think that's a pretty compelling statement right there. So let's start things off by talking about the iPhone first, because this is probably the device that I use the most every day, Apple or otherwise, and it's the device that I could do without the least. So here's exactly how I feel about the iPhone right now. It's reliable, it does everything that I need it to do, need being the key word, not necessarily want, and it's got respectable performance that holds up to other phones. But as I've been testing more Android phones this year, the iPhone has begun to feel more like a museum rather than a nursery where new ideas are being nurtured. Now there's a pretty good chance that that might change this year, and I hope that it does. But for now, the iPhone, as useful as it is and as much as I love it, is kind of boring. The new MacBook Pro is another device that I couldn't get through the day without. I used to have a MacBook Air, I sold it to get an iMac, which I sold to get this, and I'm really happy with it. I know a lot of people have been complaining about the pro-ness of this laptop, and here's the thing. It slices through all of my work without any problems whatsoever, and that includes a lot of heavy-duty video editing. The screen is beautiful, the speakers are super loud, and I love the way that this thing types. I really only have two minor gripes. First is the trackpad. Because it's so enormous, I end up hitting it with my palms several times throughout the day while I'm trying to type, and that can definitely be annoying. Second, I almost never use the touch bar, the big new feature. I guess I do sometimes to adjust the volume or the contrast, but really it's up there so high that it's usually faster or more convenient to just use the keyboard shortcuts. Just like I described with the iPhone, there have been some non-Apple branded laptops that have come across my desk this year that have made me kind of pause and rethink things. But let me be very clear, I really love this laptop. And that brings me to the iPad Pro. Now, if you're a subscriber, you know that if I was forced to choose between the MacBook Pro and the iPad Pro, I would definitely go with the MacBook Pro. For me, the tablet just wasn't powerful enough or versatile enough for the work that I do. Many videos back, I concluded that the iPad isn't a pro device all on its own. It has to have a keyboard, and more specifically, a keyboard with multiple viewing angles, which unfortunately, Apple's official keyboard doesn't have. When thinking about this video, I was sort of prepared to downplay the role that the iPad plays in my life, but it turns out I use it quite a bit, just not for anything exciting. I use it as a wireless studio monitor so I can read my notes and see what I look like while I'm on camera, and I also use it every single day to watch videos while I'm on the treadmill. I guess from time to time I do use it to make sketches, and since it's so light and compact, it really does make a good travel device. So I guess it turns out the iPad is pretty integral to my everyday life. But even so, emotionally, I think the iPad is probably the Apple device that I'm least attached to. The Apple Watch, on the other hand, is definitely one of my favorite devices. I wear it every single day. I can't remember the last time that I actually opened an app on the Apple Watch. These days, I mostly use it for two things: notifications and fitness tracking. Well, actually, I guess I do actually use it as a watch and check the time and the weather, which are pretty nice to have at a glance. Believe it or not, I actually still use the original Apple Watch, and even though it's pretty beat up, it still works great. The funny thing is that I'm so used to wearing the Apple Watch that when I don't have it on, I feel sort of naked. But that's as naked as it's gonna get in front of this camera. Something else that I'm really attached to are the AirPods. These things have done nothing but grow on me since the day they first arrived. Now, it is true that these could probably have better sound, not that it's bad, and that the sound leakage is pretty awful, but this product almost single-handedly is the one that gives me hope for Apple's future. In a word, they're just convenient. I actually bought these to review and I planned on selling them right after, but I couldn't. I was too infatuated. Now look, a lot of people think that these look goofy, and I just don't care. I'm gonna wear them and I'm gonna be happy. And on that fine note, we'll move on to the last product of the day, which is the Apple TV. This is a product that's absolutely more than workable, but yet still fell short of most people's expectations, including mine. I do own two Apple TVs, mostly because I prefer the user experience compared to other streaming sticks and boxes, but I also really like that it plays so nicely with all my other Apple gear. To be honest, I'm pretty disappointed that the current gen Apple TVs don't support 4K. At first, I didn't think it was a very big deal because honestly 1080p looks great on my TV, but the thing is, I paid enough money that this should be top of the line, and it's not. One thing I really love about the Apple TV though is the app selection. There's so much stuff that you just won't find anywhere else. Also, I feel like the way Apple handled gaming on this device was a major misstep. Apple should have turned this into an honest-to-goodness gaming machine because that remote is awful. Actually, I was pretty enthusiastic about the new remote when it was released, but the thing is, it's become very buggy. A lot of apps don't know how to implement it well, and also the bugs just get me. Like if I use my voice to fast forward several seconds, then the voice interface doesn't get off the screen until I manually make it do so. Okay, so you might be wondering, why does Chris let Apple power so much of his digital life? And there are actually a few answers. One reason, and you might find this kind of lame, and actually I do too, is that I've just gotten a bit comfortable here. Another reason, and this could have some holes in it too, is that Apple clearly and publicly cares about users' privacy. Third, I've forked over a lot of money to Apple for apps and content, and walking away from that pile of cash would be kind of painful. Fourth, I've been pretty happy with Apple's customer service. Well, here, let me clarify. I've been happy talking to them on the phone and chatting using the app, but I really don't like going into Apple stores and interacting with Apple employees. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. I don't know, there's probably other reasons, but I'm actually getting kind of tired sitting here making this video, so for now I'm gonna call it quits. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later.